What's up guys, Rick at RallySport here. Behind me we've got this 15 WRX. Now this is actually an employee's car, his name is Bob, and well, Bob's kind of a badass. So his suspension is 100% stock. He's done a bunch of other mods to the car and he's been really wanting to do suspension, so we're just gonna hook him up. So I've got some Eibach springs and Eibach sway bars that we're gonna be installing today, and this should, definitely give this car a nice aggressive profile, and the sway bar should really help with body roll and just handling overall. So I'm really excited to get this installed because honestly, Bob deserves it. He's such a cool guy, and so let's just go ahead and jump right into it. So first thing first, well, we got to get this car up in the air, but I kind of wanted to show you guys Bob's car because I feel like he's modified it in kind of a unique way, like a light bar, fog lights in the grille. Not a whole lot going on, but just some pretty basic stuff. But the wheel gap, that's what we're going to try to get rid of. He's pretty big on looks, but I also want his car to handle well, and that's why I've chose the Eibach kit, just because it will definitely give that car a nice aggressive stance and lower center of gravity, better handling, and with those sway bars, definitely a huge reduction in body roll. So let's get this car up in the air. First things we need to do is take off. I'm just gonna take off everything and then we'll kind of do the suspension off the car. But first things first, let's get this car up in the air. Let's get the struts and springs off. I think we'll just knock out both front and rear real quick. It actually should go pretty fast. So let's do that. Struts are off. Now we can focus on getting the sway bars out. The rear should be pretty easy other than this big exhaust, just accessing those bolts on each side. And then the front, I believe if I remember correctly, just have to take this off and then we should have access to get that sway bar out right here. All right, so there's everything. So we're gonna get the springs off of the struts, and I should say that if you're doing this at home, use a spring compressor, but we're just gonna do it the old Wild Wild West style and just gung-ho it, no spring compressor. And I do know that these ones will shoot out a little bit, but that's all right. We don't have anything over there, so we've got a clear runway. Let's do this. Done. So with the front, I think what I'll do is while the car's on the ground, I'll put the struts up in, get them tightened up here, and then we'll get the car up in the air, put on the sway bar, and then bolt the rest of it up. what we have to do is go out and drive it, and I want to give you guys my honest review because, again, remember, everything else on the suspension is stock. All we did was the sway bars and the spring. So let's go rock and roll. So let's talk about why I think the Eibach springs and sway bar is one of the best daily driver type modifications you can make. So first of all, let's say, you know, there are two different type of people. There's someone who buys a WRX and they like the way it looks, they like the ground clearance, and all they want is just better handling, you know, because the WRX is pretty soft right out of the box. I'd recommend just going with sway bars alone because driving down a road like this, you'd have to try really hard to notice any sort of difference between stock and just sway bars. But as soon as you throw the car into a corner, it's going to become immediately apparent that you've got, you know, a big reduction in body roll, just sharper handling. The car just feels more planted. It feels more agile, more darty, you know, everything you want. But let's say you're the type of person that wants better handling, better looks, you know, just a little bit firmer suspension because, you know, the WRX right out of the box for a economy car, like let's say we're comparing it to say a Prius, for example, actually handles fairly well. But compared to, you know, a proper handling sports car, it's gonna feel closer to the Prius than anything else. And, oh, that is enjoyable. So that's where these Eibach springs shine, is in that rough stuff. It's still soft enough just to kind of soak it up, you know, you go through it, but factory just feels so soft. Come on, guy, what are you doing? Just turning around in the middle of the road. Just do whatever you want. The factory springs are just, in my opinion, way too soft with a huge focus on comfort and probably cost savings, let's be honest here, because the dampers aren't the best. So Eibach comes in and they, you know, analyze the factory dampers and they say, okay, we can put on this stiff of a spring, we can lower it this much. They're basically just trying to maximize what you can get out of the factory setup without going with aftermarket dampers, that kind of stuff. And honestly, they absolutely killed it. So if you're the type of person that wants a slight drop, you want the car to look a little bit better, you want some of that stiffness back into the car, maybe you came from an STI or an Evo or a Focus RS or any of the many other cars that just handle better than this one, then going with something like this is going to give you exactly that while still retaining quite a bit of comfort. And that's just perfect for a daily driver. I would say the Focus RS is a little too stiff right out of the box. The STI, probably about just right. The WRX, definitely on the soft side. And these springs and sway bars, it just makes going around corners that much more fun because you don't get that huge body roll. And plus the car comes from the factory with sport tires, okay? So you're gonna get the grip, but in addition to that grip from the tires, the body, the car just washes all over the road and you can feel it. Now, turning is sharp, everything feels under control, everything feels like it's doing what it's supposed to do without this kind of wishy-washy, you know, mattress type effect, where it's no longer trying to take out all of the imperfections, because a good handling car is not comfortable. And this is a good balance in between comfort and handling. So that's why I think this is the perfect daily driver if you want something that's inexpensive, that handles well, that's still comfortable, that you can take on a road trip, still has, hold on. Sorry, I just have to do that every once in a while. It's just, you know, my foot gets itchy and, you know, but you still retain quite a bit of ground clearance because this doesn't slam the car. It's just a nice, reasonable drop. It's not too stiff. It's nice and reasonable. The sway bars aren't too thick. It's nice and reasonable. Everything about this kit is nice and reasonable, including the price. So this isn't, you know, gonna destroy all other suspension mods out there. No, you have to understand what you're buying. This is ideal for somebody who drives their car every day, goes home, drives our car back to work, goes home, wants to take it up the canyon every once in a while, or wants to take a freeway on-ramp and off-ramp at some speed and get a smile on their face instead of, you know, just kind of washing about all over the road. And I say this, you know, coming from a place of, you know, I want a good handling car. I'm sure some people will get in a bone stock WRX and they're like, wow, this thing handles like it's on rails because they came from a Prius. But most of us know what a good handling car is supposed to feel like, and this gives us the essence of a proper handling car. And that's the best way to put it, is it's not the real deal, it's the essence. It gives you just enough to make you feel good, make you smile, but you can still go over roads like this and it's perfectly quiet, perfectly comfortable, and reasonable. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. We're gonna be doing some more mods of this car. In fact, I might throw it up tomorrow and do some more mods. So you guys will see that video later on, but I really appreciate you guys watching. If you guys do have any questions about any of these modifications here, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to answer them for you, or about this car in general. And I'm gonna go get this back to Bob, and so he can go enjoy it. See you guys later.